Aloha. Welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Thaddeus. I want to shout out our sponsors. First up, we have Defend Hawaii. If you go to defendhawaii.com, check out what they have. You can also visit them at their store. They have a store in Windward Mall. Go see what they have. They have a lot of new t-shirts, surf shorts. They have a lot of cool beachwear for summer. Go check them out. Defendhawaii.com. If you go on their website, use promo code ATVPod upon checkout. You'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Next, we have IREP Detail Supply. If you go to irepdetailsupply.com, or you could go check them out at their store. They have a store in Temple Valley Shopping Center in Kahalu, right across the graveyard. Go check out what they have. Everything you need to detail your car, waxes, polishes, soaps, anything you need to make your car looking super nice, smelling good. Go check them out. irepdetailsupply.com and use promo code ATBPod upon checkout. You'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Last, we have Hawaii Candy Factory, and you see their stuff everywhere. They're at every little pop-up. They're at every little craft fair. They have a kiosk at Ala Moana. They have these little candies called noms, and they have lihimui gushers, strawberry belts, nerds. My favorite is the gummy peaches with the lemon peel. But go check them out. HawaiiCandyFactory.com, promo code ATBPod upon checkout, 10% off your entire purchase order. Right on. Aloha. Okay, this week on our Above the Bridge podcast, I am welcoming Brittni Friedlander. She just competed in a Miss Hawaii, and she's a children's book author. And you're also a teacher, correct?
I am, yes.
What kind of teacher are you?
So this last year, I was actually a substitute teacher for K to 12th grade. So I was teaching with Department of Education schools, like public schools. And then I was also teaching at Punahou. And before that, I was a middle school teacher and a second grade teacher.
Oh, wow. So
my third year of teaching.
Oh, wow. So you're a substitute teacher. Do you need a teaching degree for that?
You do. Well, it goes by classes in terms of pay scale. And for me, I was in class 3, which is quote unquote the highest pay scale just because my degree is in education. And so they're always looking for substitutes every day who have a bachelor's degree or at least a degree in education. So you can still be a substitute teacher even if your degree wasn't in quote unquote education or classroom management, but your pay scale will just be a little bit lower. But I was preparing a little bit these last couple of months for Miss Hawaii. So I'm really glad that I ended up being a substitute because I was flexible. I got to share my children's book with different schools and do career days. And then the last couple months prepare for the competition that just happened in June last week.
Oh, okay. So being a substitute, you can take or decide you don't want to go work today or whatever. It kind of flexible.
For sure, yes. So I could wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, and then I'm a part of TC's, which is a substitute website. And so either they can connect with you that way or they'll give you a call for a classroom. So I could choose at about 6:30 or 7 in the morning, like, okay, I'm going to go into work today for 8 hours or not. So it was really nice to be able to have that choice, or even the night before, get called and then figure out if you want to teach the next day.
Okay. So do you ever want to settle down and be like, okay, I'm gonna be a teacher full time, have my own class, run it like that?
I was for 2 years. So this is the first year that I was a substitute.
Oh,
So I
okay.
am kind of used to having my full-time classroom. So maybe next year I'm actually thinking about it in August now that I've had some time to cool down the last couple months and kind of see the different classroom areas since I was in a bunch of different types of classes. So for sure, I'm definitely looking to do that. I do have a couple other projects this summer. So if not, then I'm going back to teaching in August.
Okay. What would be your ideal like grade level?
Ooh, that's hard. So going into it, my degree is in elementary education. So I love the little babies. They're so cute to me and they're so sweet. But I realize, my energy runs out so quick when you're working with younger children. You always have to be on and bubbly. And now I'm kind of like, I kind of like the middle school, high school. I know I kind of look young, but you'd be surprised. They usually have respect for you, even though you're a sub, and they call you miss, and they listen to your homework, usually, not all the time. But now I'm leaning towards maybe middle school, high school, just because I'm able to talk like this with them one on one.
That makes sense. You probably get asked to prom by one of the seniors if you're teaching high school.
That's the thing. I'm like, maybe for high school, I'll wait a few years till I look older, feel older, and then I don't feel like they're bestie. But maybe middle school, I think from fifth grade and up is when you're able to talk to them kind of like this and not always have your happy face on and be super energetic.
Yeah, I'm always partial to teachers, and I know they are definitely underpaid. My mom was in education. She was a teacher, vice principal, principal. She, before she retired, she worked her way all the way up to be a complex area superintendent, and
Oh.
she, what education was her life. So I know the struggles for teachers. They don't work 8 hours a day. You guys work way more than that and definitely don't get paid for it. And I don't know what I know the mainland teachers get paid more. What is your opinion about how teachers are now in Hawaii and what they got to do and how they're treated?
Right. So that's so funny because I just finished the Miss Hawaii competition this June and I had that question in interview. And
Oh,
looking back,
really?
oh, I wish I said this, I wish I said that. So I'm prepared now because it's been
Okay,
like
let's hear
I got to think about it.
it.
But I do think as a state, we're making strides for sure. We have a lot of momentum and traction going in terms of the pay scale for teachers. So there's actually a new law that just came out where they're raising teachers' salary by thousands of dollars for the next 4 years. So that's awesome. The only thing is, it is only for 4 years. So it kind of puts into question what's going to happen after 2027 when they either take it away or will they continue raising the pay scale. And with even the raise in pay, we're actually still making less than what the state says you should be making to live comfortably. So I definitely think we're making great strides in doing that. And I totally see it from multiple perspectives. I've had people say, well, you only work 9 months out of the year because of summer break or Christmas break. But then you also have to think we do work outside of the classroom. We make lesson plans, we plan projects, stuff like that. And I think that's just another factor getting played into it. So I see both sides for sure, but I think we're making strides and I'm excited about that new law that they pass at least for the next few years.
That's cool. I think the breaks, summer and Christmas, I don't think they're for the kids. I think it's more for the teachers. Teachers do a lot and yeah,
They appreciate
it's
so
yeah,
yeah.
100%. I think yeah, and you guys deserve it. My girlfriend's a teacher at Lehoku. She's gonna be a um preschool teacher in Pololo now, and
Yeah.
like I see what she does. Like she works all the way till 9 o'clock at night, grading and lesson planning and meetings, and it's nonstop. So yeah, I definitely appreciate and understand the teaching aspect, especially in Hawaii. So shout out to you guys because you guys help our future kids become better people for sure. You guys give them the best
Yeah.
platform and start to their lives pretty much. So that's super cool.
Mhm. Awesome that she's teaching preschool. I was gonna say that's a totally different world too. And I know you
Yeah.
need certifications for that. So that's cool.
Yeah. It's going to be her first time. And I guess now Hawaii's starting publicly funded preschools in certain areas. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of cool for her. So we'll see how that plays out. She was teaching SPED too, so I mean she's pretty versatile. So I'm thinking she'll be fine, but we'll see. um, so Miss Hawaii, you just competed. What was it? A couple weeks ago, correct?
Yes, it was about today is Monday. So only about 9 days, 9 days
Oh
ago.
wow.
Not even 2 weeks yet. Yeah. So week and a half about.
So are you decompressed from that whole thing? Because I know that's a crazy journey you go on, especially those couple months prior.
For sure. I am now. I think I'm still not fully unpacked. I need to do that. But I went to Kauai Sunday. The pageant was Saturday. So I went to Kauai for a friend's birthday for about 3 days. And so now I feel like now that I'm back for the last few days, that I can unpack and then wind out because we were just adventuring in Kauai and then I came back home and I'm like, okay, well, it technically hasn't been a full week that I've been back home yet. So I can't get mad at myself for not unpacking. But
Yeah.
for sure, my agenda the next week probably is to unpack and then wind out and just relax a bit. But I'm getting
Was it
there.
was this the first time you got to compete in this pageant?
This was actually the second year. So
Okay.
I was a contestant last year. I won Miss Philippines Hawaii, which was a preliminary competition. And that was my first year in pageantry. I feel like there's a stigma where when people hear that you've joined a competition like that, they think that you grew up doing that or you did that as a teenager. But I started pretty late because I'm already at the very end of the age division to run for Miss Hawaii. So this is my second year competing. And
Okay.
this year was actually supposed to be my last, but they raised the age requirements by 2 years. So I'm 26 now, and they just raised it to 28. So technically, us ladies who are in that age range can still compete for another 2 years. A lot of girls joined this year because they raised it to 28. So we had a lot of ladies who were 27, 28 who wanted to run or try again, or who tried the previous year do that. So I think that's awesome that they raised the age and we'll see. I'm fine. I'm kind of feel like I'm retired now from doing all of that, but you never know in the next 8 months, right?
Yeah, you could change your mind and want to compete again. Was so you only did it for 2 years. That's kind of cool. What made you want to try it out?
Yeah, so it's funny because I saw for my preliminary last year, it was a Miss Philippines Hawaii ad that came up on my phone. And my mom is an immigrant from the Philippines and she
Oh
was
wow.
into pageantry, like watching it. I feel like the Filipina community is really into that kind of stuff. And so I showed it to her and I'm like, oh, the age, I have one more year. This would be my last year because last year is actually 25. So I
Okay.
was 25 then. And she said, don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Like, no, no, no. But it was a scholarship competition. It was my last semester of college at the time. And that just made me want to try to do it even more because she said, no, don't do it. Don't waste your money. I'm like, this seems like a challenge now. Now I want to try. But I think it really led me to reach out and message the director because I had friends who had and friends in the industry because I'll do like content creation or photo shoots and people had inspired me to just try it. You never know. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose, of course, or but you gain something from it. So there wasn't really anything negative for me to say no to it. So I tried, and then I was really blessed and fortunate enough to win that preliminary, and then join Miss Hawaii the following few months after that from winning the prelim. And I got some scholarship money after Miss Hawaii and even some scholarship money now because I'm looking to do my master's degree. So either way, I can use that money towards something.
Oh wow, good for you. So from your first competition to the second competition, what do you think the differences were personally for you?
Oh my goodness. It was like 180 or like 360. No, 180. 180 is right. It was pretty different. Like the first year, so when I joined Miss Philippines Hawaii, I actually joined I was like the one of the last girls to sign up because it was a few weeks before the competition. And I never ran for a competition like that before. I think the closest thing was like high school. We did I was the homecoming queen for James Campbell. We did like prom fashion show. That was like the closest thing to pageantry for me. So it was a few weeks before that, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a talent. I played piano growing up and I was a science teacher. So I said, okay, well, let me do like a science demonstration, super out of the box, not
Oh
traditional.
wow.
They needed a talent. And I didn't feel like I wanted to do piano just yet. And there was another girl whose initiative, we all have an initiative for the year. She was doing a STEM platform, and that was my platform as well. And she was doing piano. So my director said, well, maybe do something different. You don't want to do something exactly the same. And she signed up months ago. You're just kind of getting thrown into this. Maybe, do something different. So I decided to do science and I won doing a science talent. So I won the talent award, which is totally random because everyone was like, is that a talent though? You're kind of just mixing things together on
What did
stage.
you do?
So I did it's called, the fun term is called elephant toothpaste, or um I did two things, that and I did a fire science demonstration. I feel like the fire science demonstration was the main thing, and I had 90 seconds. So I did 45 seconds of each one. And the fire science demonstration was I lit my hand on fire with butane. So it was gasoline, kind of scary to sound, but we mixed it in like a solution. Then I lit my hand on fire and I threw it into like a bowl that also exploded. But I couldn't do that for the state competition because we're not allowed to have fire on stage. So I kind of had to backtrack, and I was like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that. So what I did for Miss Hawaii was the endothermic or exothermic reaction of liquid nitrogen. And so I did
Oh
another
wow.
explosion, but I mixed hot water with liquid nitrogen, which is like a super, super cold liquid, pretty much. So when you mix those things together, they explode.
Yeah.
And I had mixed reactions from doing that because, of course, I feel like there was a controversy with doing science as a talent. And so I'm like, oh, I loved it. And it was so much fun. But this year I went back to doing my traditional route of piano as my talent. So I think that I went a little bit further and I felt better about it. And I did a song by Bach this year. So kind of different in terms of talent. And then also in preparation, I had a lot of mentors who really assisted me in mock interviews. So I had like a panel a few times of doing like 5 to 7 people asking me political, controversial questions, asking me about how I would serve my community. And I just felt a lot more prepared. I remember walking out of my interview for Miss Hawaii last year after I won my preliminary, feeling terrible. Like they didn't learn anything about me. They asked me controversial questions. They asked me, Roe versus Wade, transgender in
Oh.
sports, racial discrimination in the classroom. I think the only thing they learned about me was that I was a teacher and I wrote a children's book, and I didn't know how to divert the questions back to myself and what I could do to serve in the community. And this year, I just knew how to do that. I knew how to be comfortable talking about myself when they would ask a question. I knew how to divert it back to me instead of having to answer, super controversial questions. And I just felt comfortable more in my skin and being on stage since this was my second year of going through it. So many
Oh, that
things,
makes sense.
but a lot
I
of
like
different
that.
things.
I like
Talent.
that science talent. I mean, I'm a med tech, I'm a lab tech for cancer research. And I can relate because I work with liquid nitrogen every day. So yeah, I mess around with it. Like I freeze bananas and grapes, and I've messed with the hot water thing. Is yeah.
That's awesome. It's so much fun. Like you could do Dippin' Dots with it. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
telling girls, like, if I don't make it to top, this was last year, if I don't make it to top 10, we're gonna make Dippin' Dots backstage with all my science equipment and all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's so many things you could do with it.
So how what is it with the other contestants? I always ask this question because I always imagine it's gonna be maybe catty or like cutthroat, but every time I ask it, it's always been a positive thing. It seems like the girls that are competing kind of form a bond. Is that the same with you guys?
For sure. I think so, especially with our organization. So Miss Hawaii is a super old organization. This was like our 76th anniversary this year, and they date back to being like a scholarship organization. So I feel like particularly with our organization in the competition, the ladies are here for scholarship, they're here for service, they want to serve in the community in some way, and they want to further their education. So I feel like we're all very like-minded in that way. We all get along really well. It's not super catty. We're all pretty laid back. Even this year, both years, the girls were really sweet. Last year, we even had a group chat that we still talk to. So 2022, the ladies who competed last year, I just talked to them, a lot of them this week, and they came to watch the girls who reran this year from last year. They came to watch. So we still really support each other. I'm going to one of those ladies' weddings in
Oh
like
wow.
2 weeks that I met last year. And we keep those ties. So for sure. And it's of course, different for everybody. But for me so far, I've had a good experience.
Oh, that's good. That seems yeah, it seems more of a positive thing versus like kind of a cutthroat. How well did you do this year?
Yeah, so this year I made it to the top 5. We're like, woo!
That's
Top 5.
awesome.
Yeah, I was really excited about that because one of my goals was to do place better than I did last year at the very least and to win the community service award, which I got to also walk away with. So I got a $1,000 scholarship for a separate award that was about community service. So we did an essay that kind of just talked about that. And so I was really happy to at least walk away with those two things, even though I didn't walk away with like the Miss Hawaii crown. Yeah.
From what I understand and from looking at your Instagram, you are very involved in the community. And is that like your platform, or how does it work? You got to pick a platform, and that's the kind of topics you talk about. What was your platform?
You do. So my platform is called Full Steam Ahead. So STEAM represents science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And as a kid, I really liked science. I even said to in my interview, I was like, I wasn't the kid that was really good at sports or anything like that, but I liked science. I played piano when I was younger. So that kind of led me into loving science. And then as a teacher, I love to give my students projects. So, for example, when I was a second grade teacher last year, I got to connect with some business owners and do like an incubation set for baby chicks where students not only read in their science books how chicks and animals develop in the womb or anything like that, they get to see it. So we got to incubate a few chicks around Easter time. And then I did a monarch life cycle demonstration for monarch life butterflies, where we all timed to a T when the monarch butterfly would like come out of the chrysalis and stuff like that. And so I love like hands-on demonstrations. We did like building projects where like the students were little engineers and they were building with Legos using things in the classroom and building bridges. So as a teacher, I really like doing that project-based learning because for me, it teaches, innovation and creativity. And even for the younger generation of young ladies, we still need ladies who are involved in STEM and STEAM. So that was my platform. And I did that both years. It was just something that was important to me. And then this year, I registered it as a 501c3 nonprofit to help other teachers gain like
Oh,
science and
wow.
art supplies. So for me, teachers like we spoke about, we don't make a lot of money necessarily in the classroom and we have to fund a lot of our own project supplies ourselves. So I said, I'm always getting donations. Why don't I reach out on social media and see if we could host like school supply drives where I can then donate to other teachers the same way that I was a teacher. And if we register it as a 501c3, then we could legally monetize on it for other teachers and give whatever donations we have back into the community. And so I was able to talk about that this year that I feel like extended to my service initiative and kind of gave it something extra to talk about, as well as really serving in the community. So even after this, I'm going to do that this summer and in the school year ahead.
Oh, wow. So you not only take it to the next level, you turning it into like a what is a nonprofit organization to where
Yes.
people. Oh, that's awesome. So your platform became larger than the whole competition.
It did. So I'm super excited about it. And it's something that I'm still going to strive for and do in my community also and help other teachers. I think doing, I'll do book readings and author readings of my children's book at different schools. And that way I'm able to connect with the administration a different way. So I've met a few principals who I've talked to that are like, we'd love school supplies of any sort. It doesn't have to be, science and art supplies, notebooks, pencils, backpacks, anything that the community wants to be involved in. And with Sea Life Park, I've worked with them and the Hawaii Discovery Center to host events with them. So even when I'm not in schools, I'm talking to like parents and other community members through those events too to donate.
Oh, wow. You do a lot. Okay, competition wise, you're saying you may or may not run again this next coming year.
It's so funny because last year I was in the same position. I said, no,
Oh.
I'm at peace with my decision. And this year I'm in the same spot at this moment in time. I'm like, I'm at peace with how I placed, how I did, and I'm working towards other goals. But I guess you'll never know in 8 or 10 months when you see like the pageant sisters and you talk about it and you feel inspired to just try again. Especially with the age range I'm opening up. You never want to look back with regrets of like, oh, I could have done this. I could use my same outfits again. The new set of edits will never know. So at this point, maybe not, possibly not, but you never know in like 8 or 10 months.
All right. Well, that's understandable. Did they show it on TV, this competition?
They're going to show it June 22nd on
Okay.
KITV at 8 p.m. Yep. So we got
Okay,
about
so
weeks. Yeah.
Oh, so people can tune in to watch it. It won't be live, but at least they can watch the whole competition.
They can. I'm glad it's not live. I feel like there are some things that they can edit out. I like tripped on one of the girls' dresses. There is, some
Oh
mishaps. I'm sure
no.
other girls felt. So I'm glad that maybe they can rewatch it and edit something out.
Oh, that's
Sometimes
you didn't like fall, just a little trip.
it's a little trip, just a little trip.
Oh, okay, that's good. So you mentioned your children's book, and this um kind of tripped me out because not many people, I mean, it's hard, you hardly see people doing children's books. So what inspired you to do it, and how would you even get that project started?
Sure. Well, I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher and to kind of connect with my students in a different way and take care of their community. I remember thinking, okay, what can I use in my classroom that's tangible? We as teachers and as a second grade teacher last year, I'm always reading children's books to my students. So I said that would be really awesome to have my own children's book and teach them something to take care of their community and relate to them. So for me, it was about what can they learn through STEM or STEAM and how can they learn what they use in school to better help the community. So for me, it was Puff Saves Paradise, and Puff is my childhood dog that I grew up with. And what he
Okay.
does in the book is like find a baby sea turtle or honu caught in trash, pollution, and debris. With the help of his friends, they use STEAM methods to bring awareness to the pollution problem. And it's more like an educational resource because I have a reading comprehension and glossary section in the book so that students can understand the content. And it's really accessible now because I have it at Walmart and Amazon and Barnes and Nobles now too.
Oh, wow. So how did you even get started to like what would be the process to even start doing that and like to get it published and like you said out in all those in Amazon and Walmart? Like how would even anybody start doing that?
Well, it always starts with an idea and then editing your idea. So for me, it was the writing process, and I didn't want it. At first, I wanted it to be like a rhyme book, like a super simple Puff saves the day. He's in the sun all day, just like something cute and fun. And then I thought, no, I want to add something extra. So for me, my idea was adding the reading comprehension section where at the end of the book, it asks, how can you better help solve the pollution problem in your community? Or how many times do you see Crispy the butterfly, who's one of the characters in the book on page 19? So they get to answer these questions. And then at the end, I have all the real life photos of all the animals that were illustrated in the book pictured at the end. So I wanted the students to connect and be like, wow, Puff was a real character. I have a dog at home that looks like Puff, or there's a cat in the book that I have now. And they're like, oh, that's Jack's the cat. I have a cat. So things to connect. So I definitely think, the writing process, things to connect with them. And then for me, it was the second thing, was finding a great illustrator. So I can't draw. I know some people are amazing, artists, and they can write. They're just multifaceted in that way, and that's awesome. But for me, I'm like, okay, I can't draw. So I needed to find an illustrator. And I reached out to a few different people I found through Facebook. I joined a children's author group on Facebook, which had really helped me with ideas and find editors and illustrators. And I found someone who she was awesome. Her name, she's from the Philippines. So I can kind of connect with her in that way because I'm also Filipino and I visited last year on a fellowship and it was in the same area as her. And she was so open because for me, I had maybe a dozen illustrators do like Puff. And I wanted Puff to look a certain way. And so I had all these illustrators send me like just one example of what he could look like. And with her name was Nady. Nady made it how I could see Puff. And he was kind of like a watercolor cartoon. It was super cute. And I was really happy with that. So after she illustrated Puff, we talked about the illustrations for the book, and she was really open to changing the illustrations if I wasn't happy with it, which was awesome because I felt like I was so picky and I felt so bad. But I'm like, no, I really want a palm tree here, and I wanted it to be real places in Hawaii. So we show like Lani Kai, we show some places in the North Shore, and I wanted it to be accurate to how it looks here on the island. So she was really open about that. And then the next thing was finding editors. And I personally went on Fiverr to do that. I looked for people with, English degrees, maybe people who have edited books before, just to edit, grammar, punctuation, stuff like that, the minor stuff. And then for me, the last thing was publishing and marketing. So I know some people go with a publisher. We have Beach House Publishing here in Hawaii, which is great. But for me, I wanted the independence to have my book out there. So I decided to self-publish it. And then that's when I went
Wow.
through Amazon, and Amazon led me to, I did Amazon and Ingram Sparks. Ingram Sparks was the only self-publisher that I really liked that helped me do hardcover of the book. So Amazon, I have ebook and paperback. And then Ingram Sparks, which is another website, I have the hardcover. And they led me to Walmart and then Barnes and Noble. So we all connected in some way. I remember even cold calling and walking into shops like local boutiques here and being like, hey, I wrote this children's book. Would you like to carry it? And this is, I'll give you a free sample, all that stuff. So all those things
Wow.
and marketing and social media really helped. So all four of those things are really important. So, writing, illustrating, editing, and then finally deciding how to publish it. But Amazon and Ingram Sparks, I would definitely recommend for any future authors, whether it's children's book or adult books, for sure.
That's super awesome. How long has it been out for?
It has been out since last April. So a
Okay.
little bit over a year, not too long.
So you've been kind of promoting the book and marketing a little bit. How successful has it been so far?
Yeah, so I'm really happy with it so far. We have great reviews on Amazon and Barnes and Noble's website. I don't know per se the sale amount or how many books to this day I've sold. I have to double check on that and kind of look at the logistics. But so far, I've been able to have it. How many schools have I visited? I have it in about at least a dozen schools on the island in their library system. So the public school library. So Nanaika Pono, my like elementary school. I have it in Eva Beach Elementary, and I have it in a couple of the libraries now too. So besides having it just in the store, I think it's good to donate a few to our school systems, and they could use that in their classrooms.
Oh, that's super cool. And are you trying to expand on like Puff and his future, or like you're gonna come out with a second book and stuff like that?
I know. I'm thinking about it. You heard it here first, folks. I'm thinking about it for sure. I just have to really settle on the story. I may even use the same illustrator. So, not something that's coming out super soon, but it's definitely an idea that I'm looking forward to hopefully having in the future.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, you must be proud. That's an awesome accomplishment, man, to see it in the stores and on Amazon. I mean, anybody in the world could get it.
Thank you. Yeah, even if it doesn't ever win any awards or anything or make me X amount of money, that wasn't really the goal, just to like, have something out there. So been excited about that and just having it like here in Hawaii.
All right, on. Okay, well, it's summer. You're done with your pageant. You don't have to teach. What are you gonna be doing the rest of the summer? It just started. So, you have any plans? I know you like to travel.
Yes, I do like to travel. We're going to me and my boyfriend Anthony. We're going to a wedding in August. And right now, besides having the book out, I have a small business called With Love Hawaii, where I'll do like jewelry or
Wow.
scented candles, like just like kind of craft kind things. And I'm looking to hopefully have that this summer in a couple of the boutiques. I was blessed with some great sponsors who are some boutiques here in Hawaii. So hopefully now that the pageant is over, I can like go back to my regular life, meet up with them, and see how I can get some of my jewelry in some of their stores for sure. So that's my next agenda for the summer.
Okay, wait. So you have a jewelry making company.
I do. It's online and I had it on Etsy for a bit, but with everything going on, so many things, right? I couldn't keep up with having it. So if you look on like the Etsy website, it says With Love is taking a small vacation break. It's been like that break for like the last 6 months. So yes, I started making jewelry when I was like 16 years old, and then I would just sell it over Instagram or at pop-up shops. And I just kept with it. I would just do it usually during Christmas time or summer when I would have more free time to promote it. And I've still just kept up with it the last few years. So it's just like a side hobby.
Jeez, what kind of jewelry do you make? Like, is it the
Yeah.
ones
Oh,
with the
for
shell and? Oh,
example,
okay.
yeah, yes, with the shell or like pearls, like earrings and things like that. And I gifted some to the ladies last year for Miss Hawaii, and then this year I gifted them some like scented candles. I feel like the ladies for the for in the pageant world, for Miss Hawaii, we always gift each other something the week of the pageant, and so we always exchange something. So it was cool to do something handmade and give it to them. So I just love to gift it also, even if I'm not selling it.
Wow, you're a very busy person. You're a teacher, pageant competitor, author, and a jewelry maker. You have okay, so what do you do for fun what do you do for fun when you're relaxing?
Well, all those things are fun for me, but for sure, for relaxing, like I love Netflix too. Like I'll just kick back, watch shows, but I also like to hike. One of the things that me and Anthony like to do is go out and do like find the like super secret kind of hikes, all the legal ones, quote unquote, but all the hikes that are like less traveled by. So if we ever have free time, maybe now since I'm not teaching the next like month or two, that'll be awesome to do.
Yeah, I understand. It's hard to find hikes like that. Even beaches, like the beaches I grew up going to, they're just because of geotagging and Instagram. I see a lot more people there, and it's kind of annoying. Like, do you notice that also? Like, oh man, I would go to a couple hikes where nobody would be there, and now I would go and they have like tours and buses and like picnics, and it's like, oh, how did they even find out about this? But because of geotagging and Instagram, everybody knows every secret spot now. It's kind of
Sure.
sad, to be honest.
I know. I remember as a teenager when before, Instagram was super, super big, that the hikes were like super secretive. And even my boyfriend Anthony will try to geotag a location that's not the location. And I'm like, don't just like fool people. I'm like, you could just tag nothing, that's fine too. But I totally understand not wanting to give away all the secrets. I know on TikTok and Twitter sometimes we'll have like the Alawai tag
Yeah.
from beautiful beach or hike. And I'm here like, I hope that no one's really out here like any of the tourists are, typing in the Alawai and then they get really disappointed when they show up. It's like by Alamana by the mall. So yeah, it is sad though. So I think, if you find a hike on your own and through, trial and error, that's awesome. I feel like you feel a lot you feel like the bliss when you find it on your own, but then, tagging too easy if someone tags it and then you just
Yeah,
click find it.
that's
So
true.
gotta keep it, yeah. Gotta keep, the Aina and the land nice and not overly trafficked.
Yeah, Lani Kai, when I grew up, Lani Kai would have maybe like 20 people on the whole stretch. Now it looks like Waikiki and you can barely drive
Done.
through there.
Crazy. And that's funny because that was actually, I had that on my resume for Miss Hawaii. One of the questions was, how do you keep in line with being like fit, hashtag Miss America Fit. It's one of the new hashtags in the competition this year. And I was like, well, I was like, what should I write? I'm like, I'm not good at sports, I don't do volleyball or soccer or anything like that. So I said, well, hiking. I love hiking. And funny enough, out of all the questions that they could ask, I had one that asked about hiking. Like, how are you safe on the hike? Someone asked me. He was one of the local judges. And he was like, I see that you really enjoy hiking. What kind of hikes do you do? Do you think that we should legalize all hikes, or do you think that those safety precautions are in place for a reason? And of course, I was like, well, the government puts those safety precautions for certain hikes for a reason. I think you should definitely use your own discretion when going on those hikes, all that stuff. So that was one of the questions I was asked, and I'm like, I love to do those, unexplored hikes, but it's also really important to stay safe.
So you never done have you done Stairway to Heaven?
I have. I can't lie. I mean, it's been a few years. I feel like doing it now would be super, super sketchy to do. But I did it. I did it at least twice, like years ago, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you had to sneak through the fence and all that stuff.
We did. We did it. We were teenagers at the time, of course. And I think even the second time I did it, one of my friends knew like one of the uncles who are the security guards at the bottom.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
we're just like,
yeah.
oh, we're like, please, no, it's fine.
Just give him a
So
couple monopools and he let
I
you in.
know. Yeah. At one point, they had like a swing on that hike. I was never up there when they had that. They had a swing up there, and I was like, okay, that's a little bit too much. Like, and that was going viral for a bit, where they had the swing at the very top of Stairway to
Yeah.
Heaven.
I've done it before. It's an amazing hike. They should actually open it up to where people could use it or pay to go up there. I don't know. It's something
Renovate.
that, yeah, has a breathtaking view.
For sure. Once in a lifetime. I think it's on a lot of people's bucket list still.
I think you can climb the back way up, right? I mean, I never did that, but
Yes. I've heard of people doing that, and it takes about 6 to 7 hours, but that it's
oh,
worth it. But then it's just like having to go back that way. After
oh
you get
yeah.
being up there, now you have to go back the other way. And
And
there's
you
no,
see the stairs.
and you see the stairs, and you're like, can't I just go down these?
Yeah.
Like it's so much faster. I remember the first time I went, it was raining for hours and hours and
Oh,
hours, and we were drenched by the time we finished the hike. I don't remember if I got a cold or anything. I would be surprised if I didn't get sick after that. But we were so cold, we were like shaking and stuff, and we couldn't turn back at that point. We were already at the top, and then it was just pouring rain. So that's sometimes, that's dangerous. But we
yeah.
still did it, as teenagers.
So what would be your favorite hike that you do on the island?
Ooh, there was one. Correct me if I'm saying this wrong. I think it's Pu'u Ohule Hule, and it's supposed to be rated as kind of a difficult off the beaten trail hike, but it's still like a legal hike, and it overlooks like Chinaman's Hat and
Okay.
Kahana Bay on the east side over there.
Okay.
And my friends brought a swing. My friend made a wooden swing, and it was when hikes first opened up after COVID. So in 2020, and we could go in like groups of 2 or 3 and go hiking finally. We did that one, and we set up the swing, and we got some fun pictures, and we got to go up, and it was just all uphill, and I slipped a few times, was rolled down the hill a couple times because it was super muddy. So that was kind of scary, but that one was really fun. So I recommend that one. It's kind of off the beaten trail, but if you type in the name of the hike and on the All Trails app, you can kind of see the reviews, see the pictures on how to get there, stuff like that.
Okay. So hiking is your big thing. and
Yes.
and traveling, right? So where have you traveled and where would you want to go that you haven't already been to?
Yeah. So the last international trip that I went on was to the Philippines last summer. So I was awarded a grant from Fulbright Hayes. So Fulbright Hayes is like a national fellowship that chooses 10 teachers annually to go on a cultural immersion experience, all expense paid. And it's always a different location. And so for me, it happened to be the Philippines, where my mom was an immigrant from too. And so I'm half
Okay.
Filipino. I was like, oh, that would be awesome to just kind of see the culture a little bit more. I haven't been since I was really young. And I applied for this grant that my professor sent me. That was my old professor back in Chaminade. And she said, I think you'd be great for this. It's all expense paid. It's awesome. You go for 2 months. So I was there for all of June and July last year. And I went to certain cities in the Philippines. Specifically, I went to Apo Island, which was one of
Wow.
my most memorable experiences. And Apo Island is a marine sanctuary. So they
Oh
don't
wow.
use any running water. And then they only use electricity for 4 hours per day. So for 20 hours per day, we didn't have any electricity. You couldn't charge your phones,
Oh wow.
none of that. And you could only charge your phones for when they turn on the electricity for the nighttime from about 6 to 10 p.m. It's only for those 4 hours.
Oh wow.
We had to use like buckets of water to shower and to flush the toilet. And then we learned to filter our own water to drink and to brush our teeth. And then I learned how to, my cooperating teacher on the island taught me how to clean, prepare, and catch my own fish, like
Oh
using the
wow.
heat of the sun, and just like cook it with all natural resources, not with a stove, not with an oven, just, using the heat of the sun and vinegar and salt. And so that was a really memorable experience. And I got to do a little YouTube documentary of it that's on YouTube with the US Department of Education, so that
Oh wow.
students in the US can kind of learn from that through a different cultural viewpoint. Really fun. And then after that, I did like a TEDx talk about science. So it really led me to different opportunities and learning about my culture. And besides that, I've been to different places here in the US this year. I went to Kauai just right after the pageant. I went to go inter-island. But the Philippines and that trip last year is definitely one of my most memorable experiences and just learning how to sacrifice some things.
And where would you want to go next? Like if you had a choice, like you could go anywhere, what place would that be?
So I really want to go to South Africa. I don't know if that's everyone's first like top three choice, but I really love animals and I'm like in love with like the safari life. If I got to see the
Okay.
lions, the tigers, all that awesome stuff in the safari. So that's definitely one of my top three picks for sure. So I'll update you if I ever get to do that sometime soon. I have to save up. That one's an expensive one to go on.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And you do document all your trips on Instagram. You seem very in tune with the whole Instagram community and being an influencer. I take that term with a grain of salt because a lot of
Right.
these girls and like they call themselves influencers, but they're not influencing anybody in a positive way. It's mostly just look at me. I'm
Bikinis or
yeah,
what? Yeah, it just
yeah.
comes from understanding. Yeah, those kind of photos for sure. I think, oh my goodness, I remember, when Instagram started blowing up, I was about in high school and it was all about the aesthetics of the gram, having your captions with like quotes and then blue photo of the ocean, then green hiking photo, then blue, then like picture of yourself. So you're making the aesthetic of your gram look nice to get follows. But now the last couple of years, I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna vlog like little parts of my day. And I feel like that makes it more real and relatable for people. And people want to know, like, not the perfect like hiking photo or like beach photo. They kind of want to know, like, yeah, like how to write a children's book and get it published out there, or the day in the life, or how to do something. Sometimes even with jewelry, I'll do like a quick video of me making a necklace, stuff like that. And I think that's how it led me to just putting stories that were out there that were just, more relatable for people and still working with brands. Like I love to work with small businesses and do photo shoots with them and all that fun stuff too. But it's finding a good balance. And now my captions are just like super long, explaining what the captions are. It's not any like quotes or anything from Google or anything like that anymore. But yeah, it's crazy how social media has progressed. But I think it's going in a good way, more positive than negative. People telling their stories and seeing all that. But I know I like to use that loosely, right? Like content creator, and it's very loose. Like everybody is kind of like that at this point. It's not
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I think there's a responsibility that comes with it. And like I said, you don't know who's watching it or who you can inspire. And I mean, I'm in the nightclub industry as well. So I see all these girls on their Instagram, and 90% don't even look the same in person as they do on their Instagram. But they're so in tune to social media where it becomes something that drives them and that's all they care about and what matters to them most. And I'll be out in the club or just even on the beach and they're taking videos and taking pictures and they're not even enjoying the moment that they're in, and it becomes a situation where they're too in tune to showing people what they're doing on Instagram than even enjoying the moment itself. And I always am afraid of that because it seems like the future is turning a little bit towards that. And I have a daughter, and I feel like I wouldn't want her to experience the world like that. But I don't know, it's comes good and bad too. I mean, people can reconnect, people can get in tune with or inspired by other people. It comes kind of a weird balance. I don't know. I like your page because you influencing people in a positive way, and it's not just, oh, look at me, I'm a model, I'm taking pictures, I'm by the beach. It's like, this is what I'm doing, and you explain it, or you show them part of your day, and you show um the way a young woman can help people out. It's always better, like, for me to look at that kind of stuff.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's all about balance for sure. My question is now that kind of got me thinking, how do you feel about the meta verified, where you could pay for like the blue check mark? And so
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I'm in between. Like I get why they have it now, but I'm also like, like I don't know. I personally don't have one at this point. Like I haven't bought one or anything like that. But I see why, some of the smaller content creators or influencers want to do that because there are a lot of times where people, steal your page or use your photos. But
Yeah.
like, oh, like it's different now because there's people who had the blue check mark before that now like so many people have it now and it's
Okay,
everywhere.
so I'll tell you my story about that. So
Okay.
I always try, like, you can try and see if they'll verify you naturally, right? I guess,
Right.
like you said. So I tried that a few times, and of course I'm not important enough to get it. And then one time I did it, and they said they accepted me. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm like
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm like cool enough to I guess to be verified. But then I realized they accepted me to where I could pay for it.
Ah.
But so I
That takes
did,
a while.
and it was
Yeah.
like 14.99 or whatever it was. And then
Mhm.
I'm telling my friends like, "Oh yeah, I got to do it." And but they wanted me to pay. And then they try to charge me the next month. And then I realized exactly what you're talking about. It's a subscription and anybody could do it. And then
Right.
I felt like a poser. Like I
And so
felt
I
like,
was like,
yeah,
oh guys, I don't know about this. Yeah, it takes away from the effect of it, but I totally understand people willing to do that. And if that's
yeah.
your choice, that's awesome. But
So I had
yeah.
it for a month and then realized that for one, I'm not gonna pay $15 a month to get a little blue check mark that anybody can get. It's not even cool anymore.
Right. Anybody can get it now. That's the
Yeah.
crazy thing. Like anyone. Someone just I was gonna say I mean, I love posting my dog, but I was gonna say someone just who posts their dog every day. They're like, oh, I'm verified too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what would be the benefit of having it versus not having it. Somebody was telling me it puts you in a different algorithm, or I
That's what
don't
I've
know.
heard. I know. I guess it only just to test it out. Yeah, I guess do it again for a month and then we could see like, oh, is my photos or videos getting seen more and do I have more engagement? I've heard mixed things though from people. Like I paid for it for a few months. I have the same algorithm, same
Yeah.
engagement. No one new has seen it, but I feel like special with it because I have a blue check mark. Or other people are saying, oh, then it's easier for people not to steal my photos because I'm a girl and, I have bikini photos and they can just screenshot and catfish people on a new
Oh
Instagram.
yeah.
So I've heard like the pros and cons, but I do feel like it was a sacred thing at one point that now
Yeah.
every so I don't know if they're gonna take it away. They're probably making money off of it now.
Oh
So
yeah,
Instagram,
big money.
yeah, they're like, we're not taking this away as long as we keep getting an influx of cash. But I think when the hype dies down, maybe people will stop paying the monthly subscription. Maybe
Yeah. I,
taken
de-
away.
I definitely felt weird knowing that everybody could get it, and then I felt like, yeah, it was like I felt like that blue check mark was putting me out there as a poser. So I was like, oh, okay, is it?
I
Yeah, I
felt
can't.
like,
Yeah, I
I'm not
was.
gonna get it. Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't really that important. I just thought it was cool to have it if I earned it, I guess, or like
Right.
they.
Like if it happens, it
Yeah,
happens. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. That's cool. What about you too? So I know you do the podcast and everything, and then you also are in like the nightclub scene. Do you and you're part of Hawaii Creators too? That's how I think we
yeah,
first
yeah.
in a way. So that's cool too. Do you what's like is that your two main things, like the nightclub life scene and then you're also doing the podcast stuff, or is there something
No,
else that you
I'm a med tech for cancer research. That's my real
Oh
job.
yes, that was
Yeah.
okay. I remember you
So
saying that too.
I work for the University of Hawaii. I test blood and tissue for research purposes. So it's more of a positive side of cancer. I'm not dealing with treatment. So it's always cool to be at work. It's always a good vibe. We do a lot of different studies. Right now we're on like a Mediterranean diet study where I'll do a baseline, test people's blood, get people's blood, and then throughout the study while they're on this Mediterranean diet, we'll do multiple sample intakes. We had a hula study, which is my by far my favorite study. We had a bunch of ladies who survived breast cancer, and they're older ladies, and they would come in, they would do their baseline, and then they would do a hula regimen of 2 classes a week for, I think it was for 6 months. And in the middle, we'll do another sample intake, and at the end. And it was such a positive thing. And these older women by far are the most nicest people in the world. They have a new lease on life because they survived cancer. And they kept their hula classes going. So we have kind of a little rec center at our cancer center at UH. And they after the study was done, they still have hula classes twice a week, and they do little performances. They get together, they have like lunches at Christmas. So
Wow.
whenever I'm in a bad mood, if it's Monday or Wednesday, I'll go down to their class and just watch them dance. And those aunties are like my favorite people.
That's awesome.
They just beam good vibes and positive energy and just aloha, and they're dancing hula and they're just in it. And yeah, that to me, that was one of my favorite studies. But yeah, that's my real job. That's what that's what I've been doing for a while. And then yeah, I have a nightclub promotion company, and then the podcast, and I'm full-time dad.
That's awesome. Man of many hats also. Do you
Yeah.
know Auntie Ivalani Tesu? She does, I might have said her name wrong. Auntie Ivalani, Kumu Ivalani, she is a breast cancer survivor, and she has a nonprofit, and she is my Kumu for hula. She taught me a hula for one of her functions, and she survived breast cancer, and she's a
Oh
very
wow.
well-known Kumu. So I would love to connect you guys too. If I don't know if
Oh
that
yeah.
research is
No,
still
I don't know.
happening, but that's who I immediately thought of. Yeah.
Yeah, they're thinking about doing another leg of that program in next year, I think. So maybe, yeah.
That's all that's like um her nonprofit, her Ivalani Foundation, and she lives actually like right down the stairs from here too. She has
Oh,
a
nice.
Ivalani Healing Garden. She'll put on fashion shows. She knows like all of the local designers here, and they'll donate, pieces to work in the fashion shows so that people that come to the fundraisers have like a fashion show and a show, and they donate afterward. So
Oh,
she does like
wow.
awesome stuff. Yeah, that's so cool though. Small world.
So you dance hula too. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Eva Beach, and
Okay.
I don't like dance hula, but I learned one for one of her breast cancer awareness fundraisers. And I
Okay.
did hula when I was younger, like 7, 8 years old, but it wasn't something that I kept up with. And I have like two left feet, hula's so graceful, and I give so many props and recognition to the ladies who can really do that. Even with the Miss Hawaii competition, we had amazing ladies who did like an Oli and a Hawaiian like dance and everything for their talent. So I couldn't appropriate, I don't think, doing that as my for me, just because I'm not like I grew up here, but I'm not Native Hawaiian. So that was awesome that they could do that. But she's a kumu who did teach me a piece.
Oh, that's super cool. So how did you like growing up in Eva Beach?
Yeah, Eva Beach. So I'm still here in Eva, which is awesome. I went to California for a little bit for college, but growing
Okay.
up in Eva, I graduated from James Campbell High. So 76 South represent, every time, I think it's like something to get to know you here. Every time someone meets you, they're like, oh, what high school did you grad from? And then we
Yeah.
tell them. So whenever I say, like, James Campbell, they're like, oh, 76 South. And everyone knows James Campbell High. So that was cool. I went to a really small private Christian school for my first 10 years, though. So from first grade to like 10th grade. And then I graduated 11th and 12th grade at James Campbell High. So
Oh,
totally different.
how is that culture shock?
Yeah, it's so culture shock. I remember going because I had some friends who grew up with me in the private school, the private Christian school, and then they went to Campbell after. So I at least knew a few people going into that high school. But I remember the first 2 months, I just was like, I don't like it here. It's so different. Like crying to my friends or my mom or messaging even my old teachers and being like, you were right. It's so different. But I remember asking my parents for like 2 years in high school, I want to try the public education system. I want to try, the different classes, the electives. I want to experience everything. And
Oh, it was
coming
your
from,
choice.
so they finally said yes after two
Oh,
years of
wow.
asking yes, because they were like, no, they kind of wanted to keep me I feel like at one point sheltered because my first year of school, kindergarten, I went to Eva Beach Elementary. And
Oh.
Eva Beach, I was a crybaby, but supposedly I was bullied for my ice cream money. And so this little girl pushed me, we were 5 years old, and she pushed me and I hurt my neck and head because I like fell and like got hit into a wall and stuff like that. And I was like 5 years old. So I went home, I told my dad, and then he took me out of the school and made it a big thing, of course, and was like, okay, we're sending you somewhere else. You know, you're not going to go to Eva Beach Elementary anymore. And it's funny because now I've done like a career day presentation at Eva Beach Elementary. I did a book reading over there, and their school is awesome. So it's just so funny looking back because I'm still living here in Eva Beach and the different schools I got to go to. So yeah, totally culture shock from going from like a really small private Christian school to like a really big, the biggest high school on Oahu. So
Yeah.
crazy.
That's cool. I lived in Eva for a few years. It is pretty cool. I liked it once I got there. Driving around was not the business. Like getting to work and going back there was like a nightmare. I'm from Kaneohe and I moved back
Traffic,
to Kaneohe. So
right? The
yeah,
traffic, we know it all too well for sure. We're
yeah,
like, except for, Y and I, we're as far southwest west as we can be, besides being, the farthest city. So for sure, the traffic going to town.
yeah. Where would you want to teach if you had an opportunity? Would it be in Eva or?
I've thought about that actually. I was substituting a few times these last couple months at James Campbell High, where I got to see, even some of my old classmates, their teachers there too. And I ran into a few of my teachers that remembered me, and I'm like hiding. I'm like, oh no. They're like, Brittni, you saw me. And sometimes you think it's weird, like you'll never want to step back on your high school grounds on that turf. But when I got to substitute there these last few months, or a few times during these last few months, it was cool. It was really nice. And you see it from a different perspective. And I think it's been long enough. It's almost been 9 years since I've graduated that it doesn't feel like you're still in high school or anything. But I really like the administration, and because I just feel comfortable because I know so many people, I know how the school works, I know what the class arrangements are and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind teaching at James Campbell High or even at Punahou. I know that's in town, but I
Oh,
sub there, and totally different atmosphere too because it's a private school and it's like one of the biggest private schools here.
yeah.
I also love their administration too. So I feel like it makes a big difference when you love, the people that you're working with and the administration and principals.
Well, the drive will be a total huge difference.
I know. Well, maybe not. We'll put that on the back burner, but it's been a
Yeah.
thought. Oh, I just love it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been going for an hour. I always ask this question, and because you're in the pageant field, what would be something you could tell the future generation of girls that would want to try get into it? What would be your advice to them um if they would try to get into being a contestant in one of those pageants?
I would say, and this is general life advice too, is to seek, every opportunity for sure. You never want to not do something because then you'll regret it. So I'm always looking for the like new opportunities and like taking a hold of it. And I think that's what everyone should do, just to do it. Don't question yourself too hard. Of course, in pageantry, if there's financial things where with the wardrobe or with coaching and mentoring, where you can't swing it, I totally understand that. And that's okay. But if it's failure or losing or that mindset that's holding you back, just do it. Face the fear of failure and pursue everything with a positive mindset for sure.
That's awesome. And you're right. You do seem like you're an outlier. You're definitely somebody that bets on themselves and goes after for whatever goals they have. And that's it's getting to be where people don't do that as much. And I noticed a lot of people not pursuing goals and passions and just kind of going through life kind of fitting through the norm. And I always like talking to people, and I kind of mostly have people that are trying to do different things and on my show and trying to reach goals or trying to take their passion into something else. And it's always cool to see. And you definitely check those boxes more than most because you have a whole bunch of things going on.
You do, yes. Life is too short to say no to things. So always say yes, always do your best, positive thoughts. You never
Yeah.
know what opportunities you can find. One thing can lead to another. So yeah, thank
Oh,
you. Yes.
I know what I want to ask you.
Mhm.
Um, Going back to social media and how things are today, do you encounter negativity on it? And if you do, how do you handle that? Because it's becoming problems for the younger generation or even people now getting trolled or people talking trash on there. I mean, I get it sometimes and I handle it my own way, which kind of don't really bother with it. But how would you as a female have you been encountered negative things on social media and how would you handle it or how do you handle it?
For sure. I think I've been blessed and fortunate enough in the way where I've heard those stories of girls who are really bullied on social media. And for me personally, I've never had it to some of those extremes. So I am an outlier in that way where I have to recognize that and be thankful for it. I, of course, have had, negative connectivity in certain things. I remember in high school, I did modeling and was an ambassador for San Lorenzo bikinis. And I got a lot of like, why are you doing that? Like, kind of like hate things in that way back then, especially as a teenager. And those things get to you where I deactivated my Instagram for like a whole year
Oh
because I just
wow.
like didn't want to do the modeling anymore. I felt like it was just too much for me, too much in the public eye, quote unquote. And even someone in my college in California was like, um, you know, saying those like slut shaming kind of like the girls in Hawaii because we wear bikinis and things like that. Quote unquote, saying that terminology of like, why are we dressed like that? But for here in Hawaii, my mindset was it's such a different culture. We live at the beach, this is what we do. And it's never an intended, you never put that stuff out there with intentions of getting, negativity or getting hate, but it comes with the territory. And so many, females and women get that still, especially on social media for sure. So what I would say is, because even after that, I deactivated my Instagram and got back to it. It's, being confident with yourself. And it's easier said than done, right? Put your actions behind your words too. It's easier to say, oh, I'm confident and I won't listen to the negative comments and what people tell me. But it's not the truth. Sometimes they do get to you and that's okay to
Yeah.
accept. I think it's just sticking to your brand. You know who you are. You're the only person who knows like your own heart, who you are as a person, and what you put out there, should reflect that. So to just keep doing what you're doing. And there is some great things on social media now where you can filter comments and certain hate speech. And that's a big thing because I'm glad that they have that now so that it doesn't mess with your mental health and your mindset because mental health
Yeah.
is especially with young girls and teenage girls and people in general, any age. So for sure, just to keep doing what you're doing and do your best to know your own worth, to know who you are, and keep pushing for sure.
Yeah, that's definite. And I've learned that too. And at first I would be like, what did you say? And then
Yeah,
get
like
all
wow.
worked up. Yeah. And then but now it's I always think like what kind of person takes time out of their day to make trouble to somebody else over the internet? Like it's just start to feel bad for them. It's like this is what you consider fun or this is what makes you happy, then like you got more problems than I do having people talk bad to me, but it's kind of
Very true.
nuts.
And sometimes it's like Instagrams that are not real Instagrams, like no profile
Yeah.
pic, 3 followers. So it's just haters or maybe people who are jealous too. Sometimes
Yeah.
people things out there that they wish they could be doing and they're not doing, and they're pushing that on somebody else. So you also have to think about their mind space and place, and it could not be really hate towards you. It's just themselves feeling a little insecure.
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, we've been going over an hour, and I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come talk to me. Where can people find you on social media, or if they want to get in contact with you, or if they want to get your book? I know you said Amazon and Walmart.
Thank you. Yeah. So for right now, I just have my personal Instagram. It's BrittniCaitlin, my first and middle name, Brittni Caitlin. And on there, I have, a link tree where you can even find the book or find certain videos, brands that I've gotten to work with. I love to support local businesses. So either content things that I've done with them, all the links there on my personal Instagram too. And I have a website, fullsteamaheadhi.org, where I have the nonprofit, teacher, children's book, all that good stuff on my website also. That's for teaching and education.
Oh, right on. And I definitely want to watch that video you talked about earlier on YouTube about being in that island where you only had electricity for 4 hours a day and learning how to clean a fish and all that. I want to see that video for sure.
Sure, I should try to post a little clip of it because the Department of Education has like the full length, but I still have like the personal video. So I definitely should like post it on my personal or something just so people get to see it too.
Yeah, I
But
think that'd be cool to
awesome.
see. Yep.
Yeah.
People might be able to watch that video and understand and not take for granted everything we have in Hawaii or in the United States.
For sure. Thank you, Thaddeus. Thank you for having me again. This was so much fun.
Yeah, right on. And for us, you can find us on Above the Bridge podcast on Instagram, our YouTube channel. Our website is atbpod.com, and my personal Instagram is daddy. Well, I hope to talk to you in the future. I would like to catch up with you in the future and see what you've been up to and what other goals and achievements you have achieved. And yeah, you seem like somebody that's gonna have a great future and definitely stepping outside of the box. You're gonna do something. You're gonna have I guess a great kind of impact on at least Hawaii. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. So looking forward to chatting again sometime.
All right. Well, we're out. Shakas for the cameras. Okay, we're done. And shout out to the Artist Group Network. Aloha.
Aloha.